In this review today, I'm going to talk about Y the Last Man, and it's going to be done a little bit differently just because this is a somewhat older book. I will have spoilers later, but I'm going to do a quick starting review just to give you the basic knowledge and who I would recommend this book from. The publisher is Vertigo. This is Y the Last Man, and it is Volume 1 or Book 1, and it is titled Unmanned. And the story of Y the Last Man is about what would happen if only two male mammals are left on the entire planet, one named Warwick and then his monkey. The publisher is a Vertigo. The writer is Brian K. Vaughan, with penciler Pia Grilla. Jose Montes is the inker. Pamela Rainbow is the colorist. Clem Robbins is the letterer, and J.G. Jones is the original series cover. Now, this book was written a little bit later than some comics that you can regularly read, or less current, but it is still really good, and it is dated for an event to have happened in 2002. This would be issues 1 through 5 in this book, but you can also buy bigger collections of it, such as where you could get 1 through 10 or even bigger on either at your local comic book stores or online. Now, who I would suggest giving this book to is this book could almost go to everyone, especially people who wouldn't think they would be interested in comic books or in graphic novels, because it's not quite like that. It's more of a story about what would happen if only females were left in the world. I gave it to my mother, who doesn't really read comic books or graphic novels, and she really enjoyed it and read the entire series. I also gave it to my brother, and he and I don't really share the same passion in graphic novels. He prefers a little bit darker and more realistic, which is what this style is. But I also enjoyed it as well, so I would say this would be a good series to give to someone who's never read a graphic novel. It's really simple to follow the panels and to understand what's happening, and it keeps your attention because you want to know what's going to happen. Now, it's not a happy story, so I wouldn't suggest giving these to children, and it is suggested for mature readers. So make sure that the person you would be wanting to read it, or if you're interested in reading it, that you're able to handle that. And this book is old enough that you should be able to find a copy of it at your local library. That way you can give it a try without having to pay for it, and it will give you an idea of if you like graphic novels or not. Okay, and now I'm going to move into a more spoiler review style. Y the Last Man is about what would happen if all of the men on the planet died. All mammals that were men died. The first issue sets up a couple different theories about what triggered this event that killed all mammals with a Y chromosome. One would be the amulet of Helena. They also have a doctor that cloned herself, and she thinks that maybe she triggered it. You also have a couple different storylines running along at the same time to give you a feel for the event when it happens in the first issue, which mainly focuses around Warwick's family. And so you get to see his interaction with his girlfriend Beth in Australia. And he bought a ring, and so he wonders if maybe that's why he's immune to what happens. Then there is Warwick's mom, who is a congresswoman, or a representative, and she's a Democrat, and she's talking to her son at one point in the first issue, and then she's sitting in an office with her aide, and he starts dying. And then you'll flash to the next one, which is Rurik's sister, who is with her boyfriend, who she thinks is the one, and he starts dying. And you just get to see a lot of different scenes to try to give you the impact of just watching all the men in the world die. And so you've got it throughout a bunch of different countries, such as Israel. You would have Brazil, you have Japan, and you also have NASA space in Houston, where you see only a few women standing in areas that need people running them to keep them active, such as a nuclear power plant in Russia. And so that's close to the final scenes in issue 1, and it leaves you with the feeling of what it would look like and the effects that would happen if you lost over half your population. Because you also see women committing suicide because they can't handle losing their families and seeing all that they've seen, and so you have more than half the population gone. The artwork is very moving to portray to the reader the events that are happening, and makes you feel and gives you the effect of what it would be like. And then issue 2 opens up 2 months later, where there's no food, there doesn't seem to be any power, it is very apocalyptic setting, and so you know that it hasn't been an easy 2 months, and you see Warwick traveling and trying to hide the fact that he's the last male. He's trying to get to his mother because he at least thinks he can find her, because cell phones and towers don't work, there is no communication. He encounters someone who talks about the fact there's no food and there's so many dead bodies that it's hard to clean them up, and that the entire society has changed, that no one really knows what to do. And then you cut away from that to where the Secret Service agent is trying to find the woman who should be president, because there's really no clear commander-in-chief at the time, and so she finally locates her, and the woman doesn't believe she should be the one in control because there were women above her in the line of succession, but they died in the plane crashes because most of the pilots in the world are all male. And so she is left in charge of the country and doesn't think she can do it, but it's her job to serve, and she will serve to protect the country. And so you get to see Rick find his way to his mom, and you can see her be so broken but so happy to see him. And it's a very moving scene between the two of them. Then issue 3, 4, and 5 kind of set up the rest of the series, that Warwick's going to travel to Dr. Mann and try to have that doctor clone him to figure out either why he's immune or how to create more people that are immune so that there's a chance to repopulate the planet, or to at least save the planet from starvation. It starts getting a little more complicated. There's a couple story threads, different storylines running between everything, and then in issue 3 it adds the Amazons storyline, which would be a group of women who have become somewhat brainwashed into believing that it was God's will that all men die. And you can tell that they're just more brainwashed than anything, and it's the leader who's the real villain of the piece. They're just misguided, and they've seen such horrific things that they have a hard time moving on from that, and they just want someone telling them what to do, and who feeds them, because there is no food, so if they're feeding those people, they're willing to follow that person. But overall, it's a really good book. And the series is quite excellent. If you want me to do more reviews of the book, please leave a comment, and I can keep doing the next issues, or the next collections. And if you have anything you'd like to share, I'd always love to discuss it. Thanks for watching.